Welcome back, regular knife people, to another regular guys knife channel show. I know it's been a minute, since the last video, but shit happens, life happens, work happens, stuff happens, right? But we're back. This was supposed to be another in the series of the trilogy of the rat pimping in videos, but right about halfway through filming the making of the scales, we had a massive windstorm that knocked down 150 power poles and in our little neck of the woods, and we lost power for 2 days, and yeah, it was kind of nice. Well, it would have been nice had it not been 115 and 120 degrees outside, for during that time. But we're back. Not 100% sure where we're gonna go with the rat video as of yet. Not sure if I'm gonna piece together what little bit of footage I do have. Quite a bit of it was corrupted. I don't know if I'll splice together the fragments and roll it up into the hardware, and it'll be a duology instead of a trilogy. But or we'll just order some more scale material and start over. I'm not sure yet. We'll see as it goes. Instead, I thought we would do a video on a couple of knives. This isn't really a review, more of a comparison and maybe kind of a side by side. Not giving away any secrets here, by the titles. But I thought we would compare a couple of Demcos, right? A couple of Demco AD20.5s. These are both production knives from Mr. Demco. Both of them made in Taiwan, probably made in the same factory that pumps out the cold steels. But I thought we would do a little bit of a side by side, because whereas the two knives are the same design, very very similar as far as the stats go. They are two vastly differently priced knives. The standard Grivory coming in at about 145-ish, 150-ish, I think is what I paid for it. And then the pimped out by the factory version, tie handle, better blade steel. It was $375. Pretty steep. But we'll go into that, and we'll look at them side by side, and I'll hold my thoughts, my personal thoughts on the value of these two, right, till the very end. That way, at least you guys can get the statistics. Take a little bit closer look at them and their construction, and then you can decide if that little bit more, if that almost two and a half times the price is worth the upgraded version, and you can decide for yourself. This isn't an unboxing. I have carried and used both of these knives. The Grivory version specifically, I have used extensively now for almost a year, but I did return it to its original out of the box condition. I put them back in their packaging because I'm anal about packaging. I save everything to include the little, cellophane plastic sleeve that the knives come in. I return them to as received condition, just so you can see. And the reason I did that is because the 20.5 Grivory version is by far some of the most epic packaging I have ever seen on a knife. If you watched my video on my 280Bs, you'll know how much I loved those zippered cases. They came in and they were great, but nothing holds a candle to the swagginess of the packaging of the standard Grivory 20.5. So I thought I would return them to the original packaging, and just so we could kind of see the disparity there. And that was kind of my first thoughts, like, well, you could have saved the $20, on packaging on the original here, and given me a much better blade steel, but it is what it is. So return to the original packaging, return to the original plastics. I thought we would kind of do a sort of unboxing here just so you can see what you get. The Shark Lock big Demco sticker that actually comes here with the 20.5 in the packaging. Both knives are strangely absent of any kind of paperwork. No warranty cards. No little fancy full color flyers. Nothing. Basically just the knife, and their packaging. So you do get a nice little Shark Lock sticker with it. You get this massive epic zippered case and a rubber Demco knife Shark Lock patch. Comes in this nice lockable dual zippered case, and you get the blade rag, you get of course the seasoning packet, and you get a left-handed clip. These are left-handed, right-handed pocket clip specific, but they do provide both the left and the right-handed versions. And then you get the knife. Very nice, well done case. It's kind of got like a micro fleece interior. It's got two little pockets in there. Yeah, it's decent. It's a very nice zippered case. Cost a couple of bucks, and I will reiterate, as much as I love this, the box is super thick, cardstock, nice, nice printing, but again, I'll reiterate, this knife comes in an Oz 10A steel. I don't know what the A signifies, what it makes, what's different with the A over the standard, Oz 10 steel that everybody else uses, but yeah, I mean, for what they spent on that packaging, I feel like they could have given us some, a better steel. CPM 154, being probably the next step up in cost, probably wouldn't cost more, for a large manufacturer, probably wouldn't have cost more than a couple of bucks for that knife, per knife, and we could have gotten a better steel. And then the Grivory version here probably would have been all the knife most of us jonesed for, right? So we've got the original Grivory ADV 20.5. This one comes in the Shark Lock, or with the shark's foot configuration on the blade, which is their kind of worn cliffy sheep's foot type blade. We'll go over the specifics once I've unboxed both the knives here, pulled both of them out of the packaging. Right, and then we've got this guy coming in one of those plastic sleeves, like you get nice drill bits and end mills in, a little plastic pull sleeve there. We get the grippy titanium version of the AD20.5. Price wise, $375. $375 for this guy. I got this one in the drop point. I really like the drop point design of these Demcos. I don't know why, but it just it does it for me. Both of them come in a stone washed finish. Both of them come with an amazing action right out of the packaging. No tuning required, but there are some subtle differences. The titanium, just going over, I'll go over the specifics, I guess, before we start talking. Size wise, handle shape wise, everything's exactly the same. The only thing that actually differs in the stats on these two guys, besides the price, right, is the weight. The Grivory version comes in at about 3.56 ounces, and the Thai version, or at least the Thai version drop point, comes in at about 4.2 ounces. Both knives have a 3.2 inch blade and have a closed length of about 4.5 inches, 4.48 inches is the technically the closed length, which falls pretty much squarely right in what everybody prefers, at least in an EDC size. Both of them have that weird kind of little little finger groove there. I like it. It fits my hand fine, but if you've got bigger mitts than me, then you might find it a little bit crowded on the handle. But I have no problem getting all 4 fingers on there, with a thumb on top of that ramp there on the shark lock, and they're both extremely comfortable knives. Yeah, there is a little bit noticeable difference in weight. There is a difference, but I mean, you're going to expect that in it, with full tie scales. We'll take these two apart just so I can point out a couple of the differences in the parts. But you can see right off, this knife has the Demco like looking escutcheons like you'll find on the MGs and the custom 20s, AD20s. It says the Demco on the one side, and it's got the Wampum, Pennsylvania on the other. These are escutcheons. I'm not sure if they're actually part of the hardware or if they're just washers. But we'll find out when we start taking these guys apart. The Grivory version, it's just a molded in feature, right? So the escutcheons are just molded in. They aren't separate pieces. Right off the bat, looking down, you can tell the Grivory has steel liners and a solid back spacer, whereas the tie version doesn't look like it has any liners. It's relying on the tie scales for its strength, which is perfectly fine, and then it has separate milled back spacers. All right, so we'll get these guys apart here real quick and take a look. Looking at it, the hardware is exactly the same. Okay, so it's a T10 on the pivot and T6 on the body screws. Normally I don't care much for the T6, but these are some extremely girthy T6s with a lot of meat, and they are very well made. There's very little slop there on the screws, so these should not be an issue with stripping on you. They do share the same exact pocket clips, which are right-handed, left-handed, dependent. They both appear to have the same shark lock mechanism there, but we'll find out when we get into it. Keep it in mind, both of these are carried extensively, so they're probably going to be a little gritty and grody when we get them apart, but we'll see. So we're going to try to we'll just take off one scale, one side, just so we can take a quick look at the mechanism. I'll get these screws out here and take a look. They both of these knives have become some of my most favorite EDC knives. They carry well. They sit in the pocket nice. There's nothing poking or scraping your hands. The actions, the shark lock and the uniqueness of that shark lock, absolutely awesome right out of the package. No need to tune them at all. All right, so you got 3 main body screws, and then of course the pivot. There was a bit of blue Loctite on a couple of the screws, but they come out just fine. So this is the Grivory version. I'm sure the scale will pop off first, and then we have the liner, and you can see we got 1, 2, 3, right? Push in spacers there, which are part of the action. We have the liner. Let's see if we can get this off without shooting a screw across the room here. And these are very well made knives. I mean, the tolerances are nice and tight. Everything fits really well. Everything is held in place really well. The knives go together and come apart really nice. They're just very well made and well constructed knives. All right, so there you go. We can see the inside of the Grivory. So we do have the liners. We do have the plastic scales, the Grivory scales, the Grivory back spacer, and then the 3 threaded inserts. Now, I know I had said in a previous video that they are the D-shaped kind, so they don't turn. The only place that matters, the holes in the liner, the holes in the scale, they're round. It only matters on this back spacer here. This is the only part of the knife that has the D-shaped holes anti-rotation feature, right, is that backspacer. The aftermarket scale sets, I have two. I've got a Rips Garage Tech and a set of the Old Goat. Neither of them on their backspacers do they have that anti-rotation feature, so you can just throw them in any old way. But if you're sticking with the Grivory, just know that when you put those center spacers in before you drop that backspacer on, it has to be with that flat facing forward. All right. So let's get the titanium one apart. A little bit different because the flat side, or the I guess, I don't know, the non-screw side of the pivot is on the right side, or the clip side of the knife. But we will, yeah. So we'll have to take it apart from the clip side on this one. Oh wow! So that is definitely one piece. Those aren't. It's not a washer. That is a specially made pivot screw. I like that. All right, and then we've got the 3 body screws. One of them will be a standard body screw. The other 2 will be the of the clip, so they'll be a bit longer. Keep that hardware separate. A little bit of Loctite, but not an excessive amount. A little bit of blue Loctite. Get that clip out, and it's 2 screws. See if I can get one out there. We can show you that clip screws are quite a bit longer than the standard body. Well, no, on the titanium, they are of equal length. On the Grivory version, the clip screws are quite a bit longer than the actual body screws, but they are the same length on the Ti version here. I have not taken this knife apart yet, so that was nice. Ugh. Yeah, you can tell I've been carrying it just a little bit here. So there she is. As we can see, side by side, you know, mechanically wise, as far as the shark lock, the spring, the threaded or the unthreaded spacers here that are part of the shark lock system are probably the same exact damn part. The only big difference being these have the 3 separate body spacers, milled body spacers here, the center spacers, whereas the Grivory has the 3 small little threaded barrels that the plastic molded backspacer goes over. But yeah, so the titanium version, very, very well machined. And we even have, let's see if I can pop it out there. We have hardened steel washers. Hardened steel washers and a very, very thin Teflon washer on both sides of the bearings. Nice. Not sure why we have that little Teflon washer in there. I'm not sure exactly what it does. You know, being that the washers aren't the pivot, it's the bearings. But hey, there must be some reason. So this is the first time I've had this actual knife apart, so you're seeing it for the first time as well as I am, and yeah, a little bit grungy. These guys get carried quite a bit. I love the action. I love how quickly and easily they close one-handed. And I don't know, for me, a one-handed opening knife should be just as easy to close as it is to open, if not more easier. You know, it's if it's a dangerous, pokey, stabby looking knife, I think it's just as important to get that knife closed and back in your pocket, you know, to reduce the the shock and horror of anybody surrounding you, you know, when you flip the thing out. But yeah, you know, as far as the lock goes, as far as the blade, same same construction. So what are you getting, for 375 versus 150? What are you getting for an extra 225 bucks, right? Well, one, you're getting, the full titanium scales, right? These are very, very well machined. I do a lot of aftermarket scales on my knives. I do a lot of aftermarket titanium scales on my knife, and these are right up there with the best, most expensive scales I've purchased. I've got a set of titanium scales that cost me as much as this knife did, and these are just as well done. The grip on it feels exactly the same as on the Grivory, just maybe a tad bit more aggressive. And that's just the difference between it being molded plastic versus milled titanium. But they have a very similar grip, very similar pattern, just slightly more aggressive. They're nice. They're good and thick. They have a lot of milling on them, little pockets, for the nubbins here on the spacers. Very, very well done. The other thing you get is your blade steel, right? You're getting 3V, you're getting S3V, right? So not a true stainless steel like your Oz 10 is, but I guess you could call it a semi stainless. It's very very close in composition, close enough to be pretty much indistinguishable from crew wear. And you see a lot of crew wear in Spyderco's. I've got a lot of experience with crew wear through Spyderco knives, and it is easily one of my favorite steels. Not the easiest of all steels to sharpen, but boy, it's harder than a coffin nail. I mean, it is hard steel. I get almost zero chipping, and I've never rolled an edge in crew wear, so I wouldn't expect anything different from the 3V. Fantastic steel. It's used quite a bit in Medford uses 3V quite a bit in his customs, and I'm sure I'll love it as much as I love crew wear. But being my experience with crew wear would be one of my favorite steels. Even though it is a semi stainless steel, I have yet to have an issue with staining or rusting with it. There are some other, extreme high hardness exotic knife steels out there that I have had issues with staining, like staining in my pocket the first day I've carried it. But that has not been my experience. This knife has been carried pretty much every day now for the last 3 weeks, and I've not had an issue. And it's hot here. I sweat a lot. I've had a few dollar bills in the same pocket as this knife turned to mush, and no issues whatsoever with this guy. So I don't anticipate it being an issue. But yeah, very sharp out of the box from the factory. Pretty steep grind. So definitely probably within the 20 degree-ish area. But just a nice overall knife. I like the shark foot, but I wanted something different. So I got the drop point and the shark foot, so I could experience them both. I like the shark foot. It's a very non-threatening blade design. So if you're looking for an EDC and maybe a a cubicle farm environment or in an environment with a lot of non-knife people or whatnot, maybe the shark's foot is the way to go for you. But I really like the drop point. I just kind of like the straight line versus any kind of curve in it. I kind of like how it it clashes against the curved lines of the actual edge and the edge bevel here. I like that look. Yeah. So put together close. Pretty much the same exact way. Very 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 little difference overall with the knives. So really, what that $225 is getting is you're getting, 3V versus Oz 10A, and you're getting full titanium scales versus the molded Grivory with the stainless steel liners. Yeah, I mean how that how that settles with you as far as value goes, that's kind of gonna be up to you. I really like the much more expensive titanium version with the 3V steel, um, and having actually handled a few of the MGs, which $7, $8, $900 what they'll set you back. Um, it is it is all the same feel of that knife. So when stacking it against like one of the actual U.S. Demco made MGs, 375 is a steal. Um, it feels like the MG. It's just a bit smaller and a bit nimbler and a bit more EDC-ish, I guess, than the full size MGs, because they're a bit larger of a knife. Um, yeah, it's made in Taiwan. I have no heartburn with that. I'm fine with Taiwan. I have no problem supporting Taiwan. They like I've said numerous times, they aren't trying to outcompete us on a global scale. They're not actively conspiring to overthrow our government, and defeat us and let communism reign. And so I don't have any heartburn buying a Taiwanese made knife. If you've collected a few Spydercos, then Spydercos are made in various locations, but they're Taiwanese. Their Taichung Taiwan made knives are by far, some of their best. So I don't have an issue with the manufacturing at all. It is a great knife, but you'll just have to ask yourself, for an everyday EDC, a knife that you're risking chipping, rolling the edge, damaging the edge, losing it, is 375, maybe too much. Maybe 150th, 50ish is right at the top limit. But I don't think you would be disappointed in the standard Grivory. And you can always upgrade as time comes. There are titanium scales out there. Rock Scale Design makes some nice titanium scales for the 20.5. They make a skinny scaled version, with the little finger trigger dealio here removed and the little hump here removed. For 120ish so dollars. OG makes some titanium scales and some aluminum scales. Rips Garage Tech makes some very nice micarta scales for about 60ish bucks. So there's options, right? You can still get a knife that you want and still come in under that 375 for the factory, titanium knife. But it's up to you. If you have an addiction, then it's not even a question, right? You'll own both or 5 or 10 and probably have an MG thrown in there to boot. But for me, being that the Grivory was already one of my most carried and favorite EDC knives, it was an easy choice for me to step up to the titanium and the 3V, and being that the Crewwear steel was already one of my favorite EDC knife steels, getting one in a 3V steel was an easy choice. The Oz 10, man, performs great. I've sharpened it a few times. It will dull quicker than the 3V, but if you sharpen your knives, if it dulls in a week's worth of use and you got to resharpen it, then it's a wash either way, right? Very rarely in an EDC situation are you going to take a freshly sharp knife to dull, right? It's going to take days and weeks before you get to that point for 95% of us. So really the steel type and steel composition is kind of a wash. It doesn't matter one way or the other. And Oz 10A is not a bad steel. It is a good stainless. So you don't need to worry about it rusting or corroding on you or any such. As far as aftermarket compatibility goes, there is a dearth of scales out there for the Grivory version. As far as I know, there's the bearings you can get from Skiff work either knife, and the Lynch clips are compatible either way. They're the same exact clips. So if you want a deeper carry clip that's slightly less ugly, or you want a better set of bearings, those are out there, and either one can be upgraded either way. But yeah, so So that's it. You know, like I said, it's going to come down to personal preference and how big that monkey on your back is, right? The before you decide on which version you're going to get. But by no means, you know, should you feel undergunned if you go with just the plain Jane Grivory version. They're essentially the same knife, with the big difference just being the scale material, which, you know, as far as the construction goes, is really just an aesthetic thing. And the steels, which for 99% of what you're going to use this knife for is again just it's gonna be a wash. So is it worth 375? I think so. Is this worth 150? There's the rub. I feel like I would have felt a lot better about this knife had it been in the $110 range. I think 150 is a little much for the Grivory version. I felt like for 150 bucks, especially with a lot of the other knife companies, what you're getting for 150 bucks, I feel like we should have at least got a better blade steel for that. I mean, the packaging is nice, but I mean, realistically, you're either going to stick it in your nightstand drawer and forget you even have it, or like me, you're going to put it in a Ziploc baggie and throw it into your giant tote of knife boxes, never to be pulled out again, unless you're going to do a video comparing the two, right? But I think, you know, I think a little too much of the money spent on the Grivory version went towards the pimped out packaging, which really has no overall effect, you know, with how I use or carry this knife. So yes, I feel like the $375 version was well worth the money. I do feel like the Grivory version might have been just a little overpriced for what I ultimately got. But it is still a fantastic knife, and I would buy another one. If I lost this guy tomorrow, I would immediately order me another one. I do like, you know, for 150 bucks, due to the action primarily in the blade shape, I do like this knife. So I hope I shed a little bit of clarity on the difference between the two, or maybe I just, you know, stirred the mud up and muddied the waters a little bit more. I'm not sure, but yeah, you know, I hope you enjoyed it. You know, I should have another video out here soon. My days off changed up a little bit, so my video release schedule is going to be a little bit different because I generally do these videos on my days off. And yeah, I've yet to decide on how I'm going to proceed on the Rat 2 video, the Rat 2 trilogy. You know, maybe I'll just continue on with the scales in the condition they're in, and just pretend like that's how it was supposed to be, or I'll order some more scale material, or I'll just go with the scales as they stand, and then the hardware, and then we'll just make it a 2-video series. I'm not sure yet. But definitely, you know, I promise, you know, look for that video or set of videos here soon. I appreciate you guys coming along with me tonight, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your evening. And then this is the Regular Guy on the Regular Guy Knife channel, and signing off.